In this video, I'm going to talk about the AI image designer feature within Artistly. Now, this is the first feature that shows up by default when you click on the AI designer tab on the top, right? And it selects this to the left, right, as you can see here. And then basically the key point here is the step number 1, which you see here, which allows you to basically put in a prompt and then select a style. So a prompt, basically, if you're familiar with any kind of text to image generation, is basically where you type in the details of what kind of image or photo you want to generate, right? And basically this is, in effect, the more details you write, the more likely it is it's going to come closer to the end result. So in my case, what I can do is I'm just going to paste a prompt and I'm going to show you what I did here, okay? So I'm just putting in here ethereal fantasy concept art of a thunder god with hammer, magnificent celestial ethereal. So this is basically where you're putting commas. Each comma will designate a prompt. Now it's going to ask you for a style here, right? So we have photorealistic, 2D, 3D animated, comic, architecture, watercolor, 3D, sticker, anime, robotic, pixel. So in this case, I want a 3D, 2D animated. I don't want it to be photorealistic. I'll click on generate design. And so it starts working on the design element right here and starts creating the photo for us. Now, here's where you need to pay close attention to. So we've preset, if you see here, we have positive prompts and then we have negative prompts, right? Well, the image is being generated. I'll explain to you. And here we go, the image is being generated. So what we can do, if we want to modify this image a little bit more down the line and all that, you can make changes here, you see. So we've preset these negative prompts that you see here at the bottom here. These are preset prompts that we put in, hard-coded in, so to speak, that you can add to. Like if you don't want it to be in this type of a style, like you could put, let's say for example, you don't want certain elements here. Like for example, you didn't want this person to be dressed in a certain way or whatever, or you wanted it to not have these kind of clouds or whatever, you can put negative prompts. You don't want 2 people in there, or you want 2 basically people there, for example. You want to make sure that you put single person. You get my point. So what you don't want in the photo is what you put in the negative prompts, and what you do want you put in the positive prompts, right? So if you want to basically, you like this right here, you can click on the eye icon right here, which is going to preview it. And in here, it gives us all the details for it. Or alternatively, you can even download it. You see when I tap in, there's this download icon. If I just download it right now, right? So now I can use it in my social media posts, or you can use it in my design work or anything I want to do right now. Similarly, if you see to the right, there's also styling changes. So you could even change the styles here again, right? You can change it to photorealistic. You can change it to the dimensions, the age of that person, emotions. You want them to be happy, sad, whatever. You want them to have a specific ethnicity you want to add. You want to also change the weather, temperature, like winter, summer, spring, autumn, whatever, right? So if I want to add that, I can do that too as well. And then I will click on the redesign option right here. So just for the sake of simplicity, because we made it so easy, I'll just go to the style, and then I'm gonna basically show you another type of a style here, right? So let's just say I put the sticker style because it's gonna be more unique, right? So let's just click on redesign here, and I'll show you how this works. There we go. It's a sticker. Now, completely different setup, right? You see this right here? It's completely different to what we did. So you can play around with this, and it's so straightforward. It's so easy. And then you can download it, you can preview it, and all that kind of good stuff. Now, I just want to show you one other thing here. So just like how I did more 3D and stuff, you could also do photorealistic, okay? So again, we can go back again to the image designer, and then we can right click and paste here. So like, as you can see here, I pasted like a simple prompt here. Again, where am I getting the prompts from? Well, I'll give you a training on how to do that. That's going to be at the end of this video series of the tutorials, where I'll show you how I come up with the prompts, some simple mechanisms and things that you can utilize to make your life easier here. But basically, the more you give here, the more detail you give here, the more likely it is that you're going to get that result, right? So again, now in this case, this is a cinematic photo of a woman sitting at a cafe, right? So I want to put photorealistic because I want to create like a woman sitting in front of the cafe, like Starbucks or whatever it might be. Let's say just sipping a coffee or whatever it might be. And this is the styling I want for my design, right? So basically, when I generate it, you'll see what I'm talking about. There we go. Perfect photo, right? And she's sitting in a cafe, very detailed as you can see here, right? Again, super detailed and looks beautiful, right? So again, here you got to understand one thing. There's a big mistake people make here, which is the prompt here, if you scroll back, it is a cinematic photo of a woman sitting at a cafe, right? And it is basically a cinematic feel. Like if I'm going to shift it over where I make this into a 3D animated, not going to be that good because the prompt was basically for cinematic look, right? So you'll understand what I'm talking about. Let me change it to 2D, 3D, you'll understand. So always decide that if you think about it, when your prompt should start off with what your styling you're looking for, because after that, if you change it, it won't be that perfect. Let me show you. Here we go. Look at this. This photo, not that good, right? Because I put 2D, 3D, but my prompt realistically was like a cinematic photo of a woman sitting at a cafe. It doesn't make any sense. You would not use a cinematic photo for a 2D, 3D animated styling, right? So this is something to keep in mind. You want to make sure that your prompt is relevant to the type of output you're trying to do, okay? So how do we fix that? Okay, let's go back here. So let me just paste this thing again. Here in this case, you see this fantasy concept art off. Let's just do that again. Woman sitting in a cafe, right? Magnificent, whatever. And then I'm going to put 2D, 3D here in the option. So here you see this, it's a fantasy concept art, right? It's no longer cinematic, okay? Now watch what happens. Let's generate here. Check this out, generate in a few seconds. Look at that, much better than the previous one, right? You see this? So much better, right? Than the previous one we saw. This is the reason why it is so important that you decide which type of design you're working on ahead of time, right? Now, let me show you, even if you go in the sticker format or even the 3D or whatever it might be, even anime, you're gonna be much better because your prompts are now specific. Like if I go to basically sticker style, right? Let me show you that and let's just design. So again, it would work for comic, it would work for sticker, whatever it might be. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let's redesign here. Check this out, so much better, you see? So you have a lot more detail here around her face. You know, basically you have a lot more perfect, right? So this is the reason why we want to make sure you are, you know, doing it in such a way where the prompts themselves generate us that perfect output every single time. Now, this is the reason why, if you really look at it, I mean, let me actually even go into the comic here, right? And let me redesign, I'll show you. Again, same concept. Look at that here. Now, same thing, looks much more better than the previous one we generated, right? So this is how you want to start off with. You want to start off with a much better, higher clarity on what you're looking for. And then you can go into that specifics where if I'm doing something that is more fantasy oriented, not realistic, not a real human, but then you can go into any one of these, like 2D, 3D comic, 3D sticker, anime, right? You can go into those watercolor, those stylings that you saw there, and it'll come out really well. But if you go into something more realistic, right, you want to say that in the prompt and then also choose that in the photorealistic or maybe even architecture or whatever it might be, where it's not people, it is actually, you know, buildings or let's say, for example, if you will, nature, that sort of thing, right? So this is the reason why it's so powerful to understand where when you're putting the prompts, understand this aspect right here. So this is the image designer feature. There's a lot of other cool features. So see in the next video, we'll walk over the next feature within Artistly.